And the lunar nodes are essentially showing us the life lessons, the path, the karmic, dharmic areas in our lives where we need to find balance. And so they are moving into fixed signs, which is about building new ground, building and sustaining new aspects of our life. And I think this is going to really involve around technology.
Welcome to What Resonates. This podcast is about tuning into energy, intuition, and what feels true for you. Each conversation invites you to notice what sparks curiosity and feels aligned, opening a wider field of possibility for yourself and for humanity. Keep tuning in and follow What Resonates. Do you feel a call to open more fully to your inner guidance and live in alignment with your highest wisdom? I have a course and it's called Channel Your Divine Self. It's 6 weeks. We're meeting live starting January of 2026. And I'm leading the class along with the emissaries of light. And together, we're going to help you release doubt, anchor trust, and build a safe, sovereign connection with your divine self. Every session is recorded and you'll receive lifetime access so you can return to the teachings over and over. If you're ready to channel with clarity, visit mainstreamreiki.com and join us. Hello and welcome to What Resonates. I'm your host, Andrea Kennedy. We have a very special final episode for 2025. We're ringing in the new year with Helena Woods. She is back here today on the show to bring her expertise as a professional relocation astrologer and astrocartographer who's helped thousands of clients discover the transformative power of place. We've got a great episode coming up. And if you know Helena, you know she's all about astrology and curiosity. She makes it fun, approachable, and grounded, very practical in how she presents her expertise. Through her courses, podcast, book, and private sessions, she guides people to places where they can thrive in love, career, and personal growth. She's traveling the world full time and is currently based in Paris. And in our episode, we are delving into this brand new year and we want to help you know what's coming up for you and what to look out for. Maybe things that you've been thinking about already. Won't that be interesting to discover together? So I can't wait to dive in and let's see 2026. Helena, let's get into it. Welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me on. I'm so excited for next year. It's a big year of new beginnings. And I, for one, love change, love new, love growth. And so I'm really excited for next year.
Oh, that's phenomenal. We have the different signs, right? I happen to be a Gemini and everybody knows their signs, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of fun. If we can maybe talk a little bit about that. And I know we can get super, super detailed in what we look at, transits and all the lines and all of that kind of thing. And I'm kind of not that well versed in all the details, but I know you'll help us through that to let us know what we might expect, bigger picture, and maybe on a more personal level. So I'm going to turn it over to you. And, if you could maybe have a headline for 2026, what would it be?
It's going to be, let's see, new tech, innovation, seeing what's possible beyond what we know, and change. Those are the big keywords I would say that first come to mind when I think of 2026 is like this year, 2025 was a beginning, but it was kind of like the trailer. It was like the prelude or the introduction of the book. And chapter 1, we are in it now in 2026. And so 2025 was like a really big foreshadowing year of new changes that will be taking place. One of the things I'm really excited for next year is one, connection to something beyond, whether that's aliens, whether that's new technology, whether that's futuristic things with automobiles or cars, transportation, but also our connection with ourselves and stepping into our inner authority. And that's going to get really big in 2027 too, like even bigger, that specific theme. But 2026 is just really exciting for stepping into a new era of the world.
Hmm. It's like New Horizons or
Yeah.
something is what came to my mind while you were talking about that.
Yeah.
Wow. So if 2025 was the trailer, oh my gosh, we better hold on tight, it sounds like.
But and here's the thing, I like to always have an approach, a balanced approach of like, yes, change is scary and uncomfortable. One of the things that I think will get really big is AI. I think AI is going to take over a lot of things. However, we're going to adapt to technology, trains, cars, transportation. That's going to have new up levels, new breakthroughs in science and tech, and breakthroughs with cancer, like just discovering cures for illnesses. These are all going to be the benefits too of this new era that we're stepping into. And so while there's a lot of change and that at first is a little unsettling, we as humans will adapt. And that's really what the next 7 to 8 years are about, are like adapting to the new.
When you're talking about AI, at the current time, when we're recording this, I'm seeing a lot of people out there rebelling against AI. Like
Mhm.
they don't want anything having to do with AI, touching
Mhm.
their lives, that they don't want their videos that I made to have AIs, to have an AI component or anything like that. And I get that, but so there's going to have to be a switch. There's going to have to be a change in a lot of people's hearts and minds when it comes to AI. Do you think that that switch might be fueled by cures for diseases? That it's going to take maybe a personal connection with AI that's life changing in a positive way? And maybe that will help the tide switch over to accept it more?
Yeah, I think people using it to schedule, organize tasks, their businesses on the back end, like there are some really beautiful uses of AI. Maybe, we don't use it to create, but maybe we use AI to gather our first ideas or to help us organize our ideas into a cohesive outline. Or maybe we use it to track our scheduling or organize things. We start using it in small, like almost administrative ways that we then, like, my husband just recently got into learning about ChatGPT in the last 2 weeks,
Oh,
and he used to
really?
be so anti ChatGPT.
Really?
And
Really?
I got him, I downloaded the app for him and I was like, I just want to show you how this works. We don't use it to choose our thoughts. We have the full authority to choose our own thoughts, our life. However, we can use it to get ideas for travel planning, finding tickets. There's so many ways you can use it on a micro level that when you start, like now my husband's obsessed with like learning about life in Switzerland. What's it like? What's transportation like in Japan? Like he's always asking questions and getting some interesting information. We don't take it at full 100%. We do our own research too. But there's something about kind of learning how it works that I think can really benefit us later on as we get deeper into Uranus and Gemini, which is what we're going to be in for the next 7 to 8 years. And we had a big foreshadowing of these themes this year. And Uranus and Gemini is about change in regards to education, transportation industries, and how we communicate and process information. And so we saw this year, AI. I've seen so many news stories about cars and future tech with transportation. Um, and that was foreshadowed this year. But next year in 2026, on April 26, Uranus will now firmly be in the sign of Gemini, the planet of communication, of transportation, education. And also, Gemini is about seeing two perspectives, 2 points of view. It's also about, two people being in conversation, right? Having different ideas and perspectives. And so there's change regarding these topics. We're in that for 7 to 8 years until 2033, but it starts on April 26th next year. And so this is really what the new beginning is about, is that Uranus and Gemini transit. And there are a lot of beautiful things with it too. One of the downsides I think will be with it is disagreements, or people more in disagreement with one another, in the collective. And we've seen these, types of themes in history, as I mentioned on the other podcast episode we did, where we experienced, the Civil War and the Revolutionary War. And these were all time periods where, you know, it was disagreement over an idea. Right. And so two sides disagreeing is going to be a theme we see in the collective, but in our own personal lives, it's about how do we get our information? How do we learn things? How do we improve our lives? Gemini is about the taskmaster, or it's about, I think of finding tools and resources to solve problems in our lives. And so we are being very adaptable and changeable and learning and adapting to new things over the next 7 to 8 years. And that's one of the benefits of it.
Well, right, because I guess I was a little confused because when you said seeing two perspectives, I got really excited,
Yeah.
thinking like, oh, April, maybe less division, maybe more understanding the other side. But maybe
Mm.
it does, maybe it's going to take a little bit longer.
I think it's going to be more challenging for sure, just because we have some other transits as well that are at the same time that that's happening. And you're Gemini sun, is that right?
I think so. Yeah,
Oh,
I
when's your
think
birthday?
the 26th of May.
Oh, yes, you're a Gemini, and I'm a Gemini Venus. So I really value and appreciate Gemini qualities in life and people, etc. And so, kind of just to give a little recap or a little overview of the planets and what they represent in your chart for anyone who's new to astrology and just getting started, the sun in your birth chart is your willpower, your will, it's what you're becoming, and it's how you express yourself. It's one of the most important things to see in your birth chart. So when you hear like, what's your sign? That's your sun. It's where the sun was moving through, what zodiac sign it was moving through at the time that you were born. Your moon is your emotions, your inner emotional desires, and what you need for a feeling of safety, nourishment, self care. So it's really personal and private to us. Our Mercury is how we think, process information. Our Venus is what we value and appreciate in life, in others, also represents our values. And then Mars is how we handle conflict and solve problems. So, wherever you find these planets in your birth chart, what sign they're in, what zodiac sign they're in, it's almost like it's coloring the flavor or showing the energy or way in which you do things, in which you approach the world. So, how you think might be really different from how you handle conflict, or it might be really different from your inner private emotions. So, looking at those five planets, the sun, moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars in your chart is a great way to get started understanding your birth chart.
Oh, that's really neat. And can people go to your website and get a birth chart if they don't have one yet?
Oh, I have tried. My team and I have been working to try to make that happen. We've emailed so many different people to try to get the coding on that, but unfortunately, I don't have that software on my website. If any of you guys out there that are coders or know how to get the code to get a birth chart on a website, let me know. But you could do this for free if you go to astro.com, or you can go to astro-seek.com, and you can put in your birth information and you could find all of this by pulling up your birth chart.
Oh, nice, nice. Okay. Well, thanks so much for that tip. Yeah, websites, oh, technology and
I
everything, but
know.
hey, maybe AI will have
Yeah.
the answer for us
Oh,
one
right?
day.
Exactly.
Yes.
And
Yes.
especially when it starts to improve, even to this day, as we're recording this at the end of 25, you put in, you give it your birth information, you put your birth chart into ChatGPT, and it still gets it wrong. And so
Really?
that's why, oh yeah, even today, maybe in a few years it'll get better, the technology will improve. But even today, you ask ChatGPT, hey, here's my birth information. Tell me what astrocartography lines I have in the world. Where should I live? Where should I travel? Or tell me about my birth chart. And it still gets it wrong big time. So even if you're brand new to astrology, don't go to AI for your astrology. Go with a professional or learn this on your own in your own time. But who knows, maybe the technology will be better later on.
Oh, that is a great tip because we're talking AI and we're making people curious,
Yeah.
with this topic. So,
Yeah.
all right, so we talked about some big themes, that difference in April coming, right? And
Mm.
so what else stands out to you like from the big picture for 2026?
Yeah, the big times for the year, kind of the dates to put on the calendar, are going to be February 15th through to March 3rd. This 2-week time period is, I would say, the most important for the whole year of 2026. And this is because we're going to have Saturn, the planet of mastery, discipline, boundaries, and getting serious about something in our lives. It's going to firmly enter the sign of Aries, which is about working hard for something, putting in a lot of discipline and structure into our life to be empowered by our inner authority, to do what's right for us individually. And it's meeting up with Neptune, which is the planet of idolizing things, glamorizing things. Neptune is about illusions, but also like what we as a collective, it shows us as a collective, what are we striving for? And so with both of these major planets that, Neptune takes 14 years to move through one zodiac sign, and Saturn takes 3 years. And the fact that they're both meeting up, this like never happens in history, throughout history. But the fact that they're meeting up specifically in Aries, which is a cardinal sign that represents new beginnings, new starts. And Aries is about me, myself, inner authority, having boundaries in your life to own your inner self and what you want out of life. The fact that they're moving at this very sensitive degree of 0 degrees, it essentially is a world point. So, whatever's going on between these 2 weeks of February 15th to March 3rd, this 2-week period is a huge symbolic theme of what we are going to be experiencing as a collective for quite a while, this new saga that we're in. And I think one of the big things, I mean, if we look at the world stage, I think it's going to deal a lot with immigration themes and borders and boundaries between countries. I think this is going to be a topic that's going to get larger in the news. But in terms of our personal life, it's about relying on ourselves for our authority, for our answers, for our guidance, being empowered, leaning into courage, being the hero of our own lives. That idea is going to be such a huge part of where what we individually are heading down, but also just the trends of the collective through social media, less relying on social media, going more to books, going more to in-person communities, meetups, going to, events in the community instead of relying on online community. I think that's going to be a way that that manifests in the collective. I think also being rebellious toward influencers, celebrity culture, online media, information, the information that we're in, right? It's kind of rebelling against that. That is going to be a theme that we are in for a while, but especially the next 3 years. And that really kicks off during these 2 weeks during the eclipse season. And eclipses, they're accelerations of fate. They represent big new starts, doors opening, doors closing in our lives. And that's all coinciding during that 2-week period.
Oh, that is really something. I am excited about that because
Mm-hmm.
I've been increasingly wary of social media and also I'll just admit judgmental over it too. And I don't know if other people are feeling that as well, but I'm just getting really tired of it, to
Yeah.
be quite honest. And it just feels so empty to me lately,
Mm-hmm.
being on there and it's almost like we're seeing or I don't know. I can only speak for myself, I guess, but it's like behind the curtain is being more exposed because those people doing all of these reels and showing off their fabulous life, we always knew that that was kind of a facade, but doesn't it feel much more obvious now that it's kind of a game that we're just kind of playing?
Yeah.
So I don't know, I'm excited about that.
I'm excited for it too. And also, I do think it depends on your algorithm.
Mm.
I've curated my Instagram to be so, like, I'm so disciplined with my social media that, like, I only see accounts that are things I consciously choose to see. So it's almost like when I go to my explore feed, I take 10 minutes every 2 weeks to make sure I only choose videos that I want Instagram to show me more of. So it's like stoic philosophy quotes, self-improvement, books to read, the new books that are like really like people are loving lately. Cats, like pets,
Me
bunnies. I have
too.
bunny content all over my explore feed. So it's like I have disciplined myself and my habits with social media where I only see the things that I want to see that will help improve my life and bring me joy. And anytime I see something that I'm like, I don't want to see that, I just don't click on it. I
Yeah.
refuse to click on it. And I also don't scroll. You
Mhm.
know, I go online to post, to share, to express what needs to be said that day, and then I'm off. I only
Mhm.
follow like 9 accounts, and even then I'm not really on my phone. And I will say for me, I love social media. I have so much fun with it because I've kind of created this relationship with it where it's super disciplined and also like it's a place that brings me joy.
Yeah. I mean, I think it can be any number of things, right?
Mhm.
I think that that is so healthy that you make it work for you and what you want it to do. I
Mhm.
I wish more people would do that
Yeah.
and come to it consciously and awake. Um, yeah, people years back they'd say, "Oh, Facebook, it's so terrible," and I thought, I don't have that experience because I would use the 3 dots, and I'd like, "Never show me this page again, never,"
Yeah.
whatever, and I would whittle it down exactly like what you're talking. So
Yeah.
we do have a lot of control over what we see, but it takes us to, you know, take action in
Mm.
that way to set those boundaries. So that's a great point.
Oh,
Great point,
yeah,
Helena.
and one tap on one video Instagram algorithm will start to show you so much of that content. And so I personally block news stations, any type of
Mhm.
news, breaking news stuff. I'm like, block. I don't want to see celebrity news gossip. I don't want to see any of that. So I block accounts pretty ruthlessly because I'm like, I don't want to see it in my feed, you know?
Yes. Yeah, because it's just serving it up to you,
Yeah.
you're making your own playlist kind of.
Yeah.
All right, so that's exciting. Okay, so that's
Mhm.
February. What
February.
else are you seeing?
Oh, one thing that's going to be really big. So we got that 2-week period. There's going to be another eclipse period, August 12th of 2026. And what's interesting around this is at the same time that's happening, the nodes are going to shift on July 27th. And the lunar nodes are essentially showing us the life lessons, the path, the karmic, dharmic areas in our lives where we need to find balance. And so they are moving into fixed signs, which is about building new ground, building and sustaining new aspects of our life. And I think this is going to really involve around technology because the north node of increase is going to move into the sign of Aquarius. And Aquarius is all about the following things: technology, humanitarian work, humanitarian things. It's all about ideas, the structures and systems that ideas can create. It's also about thinking outside of the box. And it also involves things like new futures, new innovations, new ways of doing things. And so the North Node of increase, while Uranus is in Gemini doing all that stuff that we talked about, and we're getting this huge, massive world point stuff that starts in February, which is all about autonomy and individuality and independence and relying on yourself and being the own hero of your life. While these two stories are going on, July 27th, the nodes, which is this karmic, dharmic finding balance, moves into this, the north node of innovation and ideas and the pursuit of consistently bringing forth new things into the collective. And Jupiter, the planet of expansion, faith, abundance, growth, is going to also swoop into Leo. And so there's this sense of the summer being really important, specifically around this period of August 12th to August 28th. So it's like we get that first glimpse end of July of, oh, there's a shift happening for the next 2 years, revolving finding balance in ideas, innovations, authenticity. And then just a couple weeks later, we get to August 12th, right after that. and we get an eclipse, which is an acceleration of fate again. So these two time periods of the year are going to be really key. Is the first eclipse February 17th to March 3rd, and the second eclipse August 12th to August 28th. And this is just new beginnings. Doors open, doors close in our lives. But if you have any personal planets, your sun, your moon, your Mercury, your Venus, your Mars, if you have any planets in the signs of Aquarius, Virgo, Leo, or Pisces, that's going to affect you personally in your own life the most. So we might be seeing this on a collective level, a lot of things happening, but it really depends on if it's affecting us, if we have planets in those zodiac signs.
Hmm. Right. And I'm wondering too, in the world, as far as leaders and countries and things like that go, because we don't really get into politics too much here, but
Mhm.
um, isn't that pretty significant though in July? Isn't July next year really significant? I seem to have heard some of that in the ether.
Yeah, well, that's the nodal shift for sure. And
Ah,
so themes
okay.
around the people, the
Mm,
common man versus celebrities, royalty, high
mm,
ranking people in positions of power.
mm-hmm,
That's Leo Aquarius. Aquarius is the common man, the people. When we saw the French Revolution, for instance, Pluto was an Aquarius. And this theme of like the people rising in some way, right? The common person is Aquarius. So we have the increase of this focus. And then we have decrease or lessening of Leo. And Leo is royalty, celebrities, people in power, can be high-ranking people in politics or in people who have power, right? So there's this sense of decrease of that and increase of the opposite. And so, with also the fact that Pluto, which, Pluto spends like 20, 30 years in one zodiac sign, right? In like the 1950s, we had Pluto in Leo, which is like the rise of Marilyn Monroe and Audrey Hepburn and glamour and the movie stars and people like worshiping and adoring celebrities, right? That was Pluto in Leo, which is the sense of power to powerful people, celebrities, royalty, etc. But now with Pluto in Aquarius, it's the opposite. It's the decrease of that being influential or being powerful. And, we've been seeing this for the last year of like people not loving influencer culture anymore, people not really like leaning on those type of Leo type things. And now what's getting popular is normal everyday human life. That's getting really big. We're seeing like on TikTok or Instagram or wherever people making reels on their couch just talking about something that they did that day or something that they learned. That is now the new thing. And so, yeah, I think there's a lot to look forward to with this kind of new collective balance that we're finding.
yeah, I agree with you. Isn't it so fascinating how trends come and go and something rises so popular? The other
Mm,
thing that it came to my mind when you were talking was sports, because I've just been over here noticing the salaries, and now money is in, college sports, and it's just infiltrating, and I just feel like that can't last,
yeah.
and is that related to this whole thing about celebrity and that kind of thing? Would you say that 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 trend of money in sports and these sports figures making hundreds of millions of dollars and thing is all that together?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Leo, there can be a sense of greed or too much money or something. And Aquarius is about spreading it out and helping, others. And so I think that switch is going to get bigger when the nodes switch. We're going to start seeing more of those themes of
Mm,
like something pop, not, I don't want to say popping because I'm not a financial astrologer. So I'm not an expert in that at all. And so I can't say anything about the financial markets, but like some sort of a burst of a bubble or an
mm,
illusion not being interesting, especially with Neptune and Aries. Aries is about taking personal power back, and Neptune getting out of Pisces, which Pisces is all about, that kind of being lost in a bubble, relying on gurus, relying on, spiritual people telling us what we should believe. Neptune leaving Pisces is literally the bubble popping and that being over and us taking power back. And so I'm getting chills as I'm saying this, which usually means there's something really powerful or resonating about that. But Neptune in Aries, which, is going to happen once we get into February, this is really the start of all of that. So, yeah, I mean, I would expect a lot of those themes to get bigger, especially as we get deeper into 26.
Yeah, that really excites me personally too, because when you were on the show last time, the show is called Beyond the Reiki Gateway. And now it's what resonates, with a question mark, because some of the things we'll talk about will resonate with people. And you even just said the word resonate, but some of those things will resonate and other maybe guests will resonate or not.
Yeah.
And either way is wonderful.
Mhm.
My my whole vision is I firmly believe that as people start living their lives, making decisions based on what does resonate deep within themselves, that truth feeling deep within, when they start deciding things in their lives based on what resonates with them, then they're walking a path aligned with their soul, with their purpose and their astrology. I would be willing to bet,
Yes.
right? And then we will shift into a whole new way of living, of creating. I'm so excited for that.
I know. And when you live totally, completely, truthfully to yourself, asking yourself, what excites me? Do I feel good about this? Is this in alignment with my truth? Am I being honest now? Right? Asking yourselves these types of questions, whether that's in the form of journaling, you have a journaling routine, you do breath work, you take a deep breath, you put your hands on your stomach or your heart, and you ask yourself questions, you release and exhale and receive those answers. Is it a knowingness in your gut when you're on your walk? Dancing through movement, you can get answers. There's so many different ways that we each uniquely get our wisdom and our inner truth for ourselves. But by doing that, you will find that your astrology, your chart that you have, that fixed blueprint of your birth chart, it's just a reflection of that which you are, that which you're doing. You can learn it if you want. If you're kind of a very mental, cerebral, wanting to learn kind of person like me, you might like learning astrology because it can show you your timing and the cycles that you're in your life and your strengths and your gifts and your talents. But you don't have to learn it. You could just rely on your intuition, and you're going to be living in alignment with your chart when you trust in your personal power.
It's so exciting because I think we've all heard probably our whole lives, oh, just follow your gut, follow your intuition, do what feels good. And it's kind of I don't know, I think it has over the years gotten sort of squishy. It's like
Mhm.
just something people say or whatever, but it's all coming into focus right now on the
Yes.
planet for people. It's like we've heard it our whole lives. Well, now it's getting real.
Yeah.
It's time to really tune in because it's this is even reflected in what you've shared so far. We're entering further and further, I think, into a time where looking outside yourself and for answers and trusting things outside of yourself, it's like those days are over. And like what you just said about the whole guru thing, it's
Yes.
like the answers are always within you,
Yes.
and that isn't that just the headline too that we've heard that our whole lives. It's like, oh, brother, whatever. Well, now I think we have more tools to help us support that tuning in.
Mhm.
It's kind of like, I mean, I don't know, I'm going off on a tangent, but back in the day, meditation was looked at as being woo woo and all of that. Well, now communities have meditation groups that meet every week and it's very mainstream and that kind of thing. So it's so fascinating how these trends and how what's out of vogue, or out of fashion
Mhm.
collectively comes back in. I just love this whole cycle
Yeah.
type of thing. And the fact that it's reflected in astrology, I mean, it's yummy. I just
Yeah.
love it. I just love it.
And, my advice for anyone listening is ask yourself, what are the top 3 tools that I'm going to use in my own life to connect with myself? So for me, it's journaling, it's breath work, and it's going for a walk and listening to classical music and allowing my thoughts, my body, my wisdom to come through the music, right? What are your tools? For some, it might be EFT tapping, right? Maybe you get an idea out of nowhere while you're tapping or something channels through you. For others, it might be connecting with nature, holding a tree, putting your hands in the soil, like that. These are all ways, like tools, things that we can add to help regulate our nervous system. And I will say, not to fearmonger, but to prepare people of we also have to get grounded for the next 7 to 8 years. Because with Uranus and Gemini, one of the downsides of it is the information wars.
Mm.
Who do we trust with our information? This is going to get bigger. And we have to be so careful of, not getting into wars with other people, verbal wars, conflict. I mean, we've already been seeing it over the last years, but it's so divided now. And we really have to remain centered in our physical body and our intuition, nervous system regulation tools, habits like we've been talking about, so that we can be in the physical world and still remain connected to our truth and inner light. And as fluffy as that sounds, we have to find these tools now and anchor them in now, especially when we get deeper into Uranus and Gemini, because the information wars, the conflict between people, the disagreements, the fighting between two sides, that's going to get bigger. And so, as long as we stay anchored, that will get us through any challenging times that come up.
Yeah, I love that message. I think it's really important. And what came to my mind too is families. We have a responsibility too to
Yes.
our young people to show them that we're taking care of ourselves and self-care. We're listening to that inner voice because that helps them also follow that. If we are allowing ourselves to react to everything and be ungrounded and take sides and argue with one another, that's what we're modeling for the younger people. And a lot of young people are coming in with great wisdom. And so we can learn from them too. I just think it's so important, this topic because, as you're saying, things are going to get messy. Things are going to get uglier before they get better. And at least that's kind of what I'm hearing
Yeah.
you say. But
Yeah.
yeah, so what else? So that's a lot of personal things for the year so far. Are there any other personal times for us? And then, I don't know, can we speak more globally too?
Yeah. Some other key parts of the year. I mean, the beginning of the year. So, for anyone listening, that's, end of the year, we're getting into January. January is a great month.
Oh, nice.
Great month. Build your foundations, build your structures, your habits, your tools, your systems, because we've got all this energy in Capricorn, which is about building structure in our lives. And it's, we got a lot of forward momentum, direct energy. So use January well before we start getting a lot of shifts and changes when we get into that February timeframe. Some other key points, there's going to be a Venus retrograde, and Venus represents what we enjoy, what we value, what we appreciate, what we love. It also represents our style, so our fashion sense, and love too, romance. And so, Venus, the planet of all these things, is going to slow down and go backward from our vantage point here on Earth. And so, there's this sense of like, a slowdown of asking ourselves, is this in alignment with my values? Is this something that I enjoy? Do I still want to keep doing this? Is this still a relationship I still want to be in? These kinds of ideas and topics are going to be really big October 3rd until November 14th. So that's like end of the year. Definitely not as big of a thing as these other dates I've mentioned. The other dates are going to be really loud. But this period is going to be more of a reflective, contemplative period, especially October into mid November of 26. That's a real slow down, quiet, introspective period of the year.
Oh, and then, the holidays are right after that. And I have to imagine for a lot of people, that time that you're referring to can be kind of a prelude into what might come up for them over the holidays, being
Yeah.
with family and in relationships and things. It's kind of funny that we're talking about this because the last couple days, I it, what's come up for me is, how people just kind of do the same thing, day in and day out because, well, that's what they did the day before and the week before and the year before. And it sounds like you're kind of bringing that up here where we ask ourselves, why am I doing this? Why am I in this relationship? Would I
Mhm.
choose this relationship all by itself today? Would I actually recommit today to the relationship brand new? Or why am I here?
Mhm. Yeah. And it's interesting because right now, as we're recording this, Mercury's in retrograde, right? Or Mercury
Mhm.
is retrograde, and Mercury is about our ideas, how we think about things, and it's in Sagittarius, which is our beliefs. So there's
Mm.
something about like rethinking beliefs right now. But it's interesting because when we get to this period of, October into mid-November next year, it's like Venus is retrograde, which is relationships, love, values, and Mercury is retrograde. And there's going to be similar topics again about kind of what's happening now, but coming up again October into November because Mercury's going to be retrograde again, going through similar degrees in Scorpio as right now. And so it's very interesting how there's this kind of continuation of rethinking something,
Mm.
rethinking what we value, what we like, old things from the past. Mercury retrograde, speaking a little bit about Mercury retrograde, because it happens 3 times a year.
Uh-huh.
So many people are afraid of it.
Yeah.
Oh, you could use it. Use it well. As a professional astrologer, I use it to go back and look at old projects, revise old things, finish and complete old things. I go through my phone, I delete all my old videos and photos. I organize them into photo albums so that it's ready to go when Mercury goes direct, right? This is such a beautiful time. 3 weeks, 3 times a year, we get this beautiful gift to look back and reflect and contemplate and slow down and pause and indulge in maybe old things from the past. Like, I'm currently playing one of my old Game Boy games from literally like 2004. I'm like playing it again for the first time in a long time. And I'm like, what a beautiful way to use Mercury retrograde. Like revisiting something from the past and having a little bit of fun with it? So use Mercury retrograde. That's like kind of the benefit that we can use these time periods.
I just love this, Helena, because I just read a comment this morning where somebody's like, oh, it's Mercury in retrograde, and they're all like blaming it on dysfunction in their life.
Oh
So,
no.
and hasn't it just become this pop culture thing
I
almost? It's like
know.
everywhere you look, it's like Mercury in retrograde, So thank you for giving
Yes.
us a positive spin on this. I just love your ideas about
Oh,
cleaning up the past stuff, going through your photo albums because, I was just looking on my phone the other day and it said, I mean, I had thousands of photos on there and I thought, and I started looking and it's overwhelming, but
oh
I
my
could just
gosh.
do a little bit here and there and start cleaning that up because there were photos on there I will never care about ever again.
Exactly. This is the best. This is like Mercury retrograde is one of my favorite times of the year because I romanticize the process. I light a candle, put on a show in the background, or maybe a podcast, self-development podcast or something. I'll make a cup of tea and I will enjoy the process of like going through. And I do this for my Google Drive. I'll organize things into colors. I just yesterday, my task for the day was to clean up my desktop computer. I put a new screensaver, organized all the folders there. So it's like every day we can use Mercury retrograde to complete a small task. Some tasks, like the phone, it might take a few, 3 or 4 days to go through everything, but we could use this time. And I always say Mercury retrograde is the ideal time to slow down to speed up later because we can have
Oh,
massive results and growth when we really slow down and look back at things now.
I love this. Love it. Thank you so much.
Huh, yeah.
Thank you. So you said it's 3 weeks, 3 times a year. So is it predictable every year? I mean, is it certain seasons, or how can we kind of wrap our heads around when to expect these things?
Oh, well, it's really fascinating. I actually just sent an email to my astrology newsletter a couple days ago. So if anyone wants to join the newsletter, you can definitely join for free. But I sent an email about this. Every 2 years, we have Mercury retrograde go through a particular area of our charts. For
Oh,
some of us, it might be about work, career, and money. And so if you are a water rising sign, for instance, if you're a Pisces rising, a Scorpio rising, a Cancer rising, the last 2 years, the Mercury retrogrades will have affected your work, money, projects area of your chart, right? We also have, Mercury retrogrades that will affect your creativity, your beliefs, and your relationship to yourself and your identity. So there's Mercury retrogrades that are very personal to that. We have other Mercury retrogrades that are big on looking at relationships, friends, communities, our partner. So Mercury retrograde runs in cycles of every 2 years. Every 2 years, they'll switch areas of our life. But for those 2 years, we have these repeated patterns of looking back over a particular area of our lives. And so for 2026, for anyone who has their calendar open and kind of wants to write this down, I've got my paper planner here and I write it all down at the beginning of the year. So I'm ready to go. But we have one retrograde February 26th to March 20th. That'll be the first Mercury retrograde of the year, and that'll be in Pisces. So if you have any placements in Pisces, it's going to be affecting that part of your life. June 29th to July 23rd, we have another water sign Mercury retrograde, and that'll be in the sign of Cancer. And then finally, October 24th, the big one, will be October 24th to November 13th, and that will be in Scorpio. And so notice how these 3 dates I gave, they're all happening in water signs. And so for the next 2 years, we're all going to be experiencing these themes of, okay, now a new area of our life is going to be kind of looked at and reworked for the next 2 years. So if you have any planets in water signs or your water rising sign, this will be personally impacting you the most.
wow. That is, I really appreciate that. Looking at this a whole positive way,
Hmm.
constructive way, and growth. And how you said it can help you grow faster. Is that what you said?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I use astrology in my life to support me.
Hmm.
When there's a lot of retrogrades, I slow down. I look back,
Hmm.
I reflect, I slow down to speed up. When we've got beautiful astrology with momentum and direct energy, oh, I'm going to go for it. Like I was showing with you before we got on the podcast, little example, but I saw that I had Venus, which is a good planet that brings good things. It says yes to things. It was moving through my 11th house. And the 11th house in astrology is about your friends, your community, social media community, your followers, your fan base. It's the reception that you get from your work, essentially. And it's the house of hopes and dreams. It's a beautiful house. It's called the House of Good Spirit in astrology. And when I saw, ooh, next month, I noticed that Venus is going to be going through my 11th house. Okay, I'm going to work with this energy. And so what I did was I got to work. I posted a ton of content that month, more than I usually do. And I grew 12,000 followers in the span of 2 weeks. And it was
Wow.
because I plan with astrology. When it's a slower period, I'm not really posting much.
Mhm.
Be a little bit more quiet. I'm a little bit more inward. I'm focusing on my healthy habits, my personal life more than social media, right? So it's like I use astrology and I ride waves. That's what I call it. I call it catching waves or fate accelerator. It's like I'm using astrology to support me and enhance my life.
Fate accelerator. You have like the best phrases, I
Oh,
think.
I have a course coming out next year called that. It's all about this.
Really? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, that is so cool. Yeah. Yeah, and your social media is great because, I will say, you say things on there sometimes that really resonate, for lack of a better word, with me. And also, you're pretty brave. You really do put yourself out there, and there's an authenticity to that, a
Mhm.
rawness. And you're not
Mhm.
afraid when people disagree with you. So
Oh, yeah.
I appreciate that. I
Yeah.
really do on social media. I think we need more of that.
Yeah, and it's like when I started to embrace one of, I think, my sole reasons for being here is to embrace myself as a mirror. If people get
Mm.
triggered by something that they see in me, what does that show you about yourself? If there's something you like about me, there's something about me that resonates with you. And when I started to embrace my role in this earth, in this planetary body, or in this body, in this lifetime, as like, I'm a mirror in a good way and a bad way, that's okay. And when I started to embrace that that's part of what I'm here to do, I just started living more truthfully, unabashedly, authentically. And there's a freedom that comes with that. There's like a sense of freedom in like being cringe and being raw. And there's something a little, what's the word? It's like not cringe, but unhinged, right? Like
Ah,
this
yeah.
energy of like massive repel to some people. But like when you do it, you just stop caring and you're just free to be yourself. And I've had so much fun making videos, posting, sharing my thoughts because it's coming from this freeing place. And so embracing who you are, your role, being a mirror, being a leader, being a messenger, a translator, whatever it is you're feeling called to be and embody in this life, when you go 100% into that, oh, there's some sort of release, you know? And so thank you
Yes.
for that.
Oh, yeah. And so my question for you then is, do you see yourself as a mirror? Did you come to that through your astrology, just through an inner knowing? Is that an invitation for everybody if that resonates with
Yes.
them? Yes.
It's not coming from my astrology. I literally got that message from my inner voice, my intuition. So I
Wow.
use the Akashic records. Do you know the Akashic records?
Yes.
I open up, I say the pathway prayer, and I ask to be shown things, share things, and I receive messages. And even if I don't open up the Akashic records, I'll go into meditation and I'll say, "Show me what I need to know right now."
Mhm.
Share with me what I need to share with others right now. How can I approach this differently? How can I see this situation differently, etc. And I ask my inner voice questions and I receive this visual of like embrace your role as a mirror. And I've seen a lot of different visuals. And for anyone who resonates, if this resonates with you, take this because it's something that's true for you as well.
Yes.
But I also received a vision many years ago in the Akashic records of I saw like a rainstorm and these little rain droplets. And when one piece of light, a light in a rain droplet, when it falls onto a house, a community, right? Someone's home, it lights something up within one person that they will then spread their light to other people. And it's like a spider web effect. This visual of like you living as your light and sharing a message, the water droplets, the rain, it can inspire people that will then share their light with other people and share their light with other people. It's a ripple effect. You
Yes.
showing up and being true to yourself, you can inspire just one person and that will change the world. I really believe
Yes.
that. And
Yes.
so when I saw that vision years ago, I just started showing up every day, living from that place. And for anyone who resonates, it's for you too.
Yeah. Oh, I couldn't agree more because I think it lives in our vibration, that energy that we have. And when we live in that place, like in our light, it's in our vibration. And it's not about telling people what they need to do, it's just living you.
Hmm.
And there's like this hidden communication between my energy and other people's energy, and they can take it or leave it or whatever, like what you're saying, like the mirror. But living in that authentic vibration is an invitation for others to find theirs and to
Yeah.
live that way too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It,
Exactly.
yeah, it's so exciting.
Yeah.
Yes. So in an era of people pleasing, right? This mirror concept can be transformative. And thank you for being an example of that, because I just think that's so powerful. And when you give yourself permission to do that, other people can look at that and give themselves permission. And I sure hope that this last few minutes of the show has resonated for some people and they're going to step out of that, and maybe reflect about, yeah, why do I do this or that?
Yeah.
Does it serve me? Yeah. Wow.
2026 and 2027 are all about owning your authenticity and
Mm.
doing you and being true to yourself. These 2 years are so key for us personally. And
Oh,
so writing down, what do I value? What's important to me?
yeah,
What kind of person am I becoming if I choose to believe this, to live this life? And then creating those habits, those tools, those structures in your everyday life of connecting with your intuition and whatever tools they may be. It's like building that structure in January of 26. It's going to be a beautiful way to kickstart this new year of change.
right. And also probably too, and then don't be afraid to change it, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
I mean, if you pick things in January and you start, because so many people, do that in January and then they fall off the wagon or
Uh-huh.
whatever it is. And
Uh-huh.
it's like, it's okay. Just pick something
Yes.
else, right?
Change your mind. You
Yeah.
can pivot at any time. It is safe to change your mind. It is safe to
Yes.
pivot. I
Yeah.
have
It's not a
pivoted.
failure.
Yes, I've pivoted so many things in my life, careers. I feel like I've lived 20 lifetimes in one. It's I've done so many things and I continuously pivot, let go, move on. And let me tell you, it really inspires other people to be true to themselves too. That it's safe for you to change your mind because you never know what could happen. You never know what new doorway you could open, how your life could accelerate and expand into infinite possibilities if you didn't let go and try something new.
Right. Yes. I so agree. And, it's all about the ride, isn't it?
Yes. Enjoying the process, enjoying the
Yes.
journey, loving the small micro ways that we show up every day to do the thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So that's lovely. But what about the astrology? I keep veering off with you because I just love talking to you and the energy here. But so are there any other dates, any other themes that we need to be aware of coming into this year? And you mentioned 2027. So, you opened that door a little bit. So I guess as we close out the show, what would you like to convey to people about this year and beyond, with the astrology? We know 7 to 8 years, I think you've mentioned, but what about now through, I don't know, the first bit of that? What can you tell us?
Yeah, the energy of, the information wars, as I mentioned, conflict between people, I do expect that to intensify. And so, one of the things that's going to be important is to know what's important to you, what you value. And as cheesy as it sounds, practice kindness, especially in this age that we're entering. Practice kindness, be open-minded, curious, non-judgmental. I think being a non-judgmental human is one of like the best things that we can cultivate as people is a non-judgmental outlook on life and openness and curiosity to seeing multiple points of view. I think is going to be just really key for these years. And also, I hate to say it, but like strap in because we are in an era of change. And as long as you can keep your personal practice, your routines, all of those things that we've been talking about, intuition, in alignment with you, we will be fine. We will get through these years. But it's when we get swept away in the noise of what other people tell us we should do, or operating out of fear, acting out of fear, moving locations out of fear, that is when we really hurt ourselves. And so, whatever ends up happening this year, next year, et cetera, especially with, I just think there will be more conflict in general in the world, in the US, and lots of places. It's like, how can you be autonomous and rely on yourself to have inner peace? I think that's going to be just such a huge lesson that we're all going to be experiencing with Saturn and Neptune meeting up in Aries. I think that's just going to be a huge thing. And also, this is kind of the first year of change. And so if you can remain flexible and adaptable to new tech, new ways of doing things, that's Uranus and Gemini. And being curious, or at least, you know, maybe learning some different tools or new things, maybe we approach investing differently, in the future, or maybe we, approach ideas around education in a different way. It's like I heard this one quote, I think it was in Amy Poehler's book. Years ago, I read this book, and the one thing I remember, the one line that stood out to me, and I remember all these years later, she said something like, the best advice I could ever give you is adapt your sails when a wave appears. So, when waves appear in our lives, can we remain flexible and adaptable and change with the times? I think that is going to be a really key tip when we get deeper into 2026 and then going into the later years.
Wow, that's very insightful too, because that's listening to the inner voice. Because
Mhm.
how will you adapt? Go within,
Yep,
ask, ask for guidance.
exactly.
Yeah.
You have the most important information for yourself. No one else does. No other teacher, leader, astrologer has the information for you better than you have it. You have all the power within you. And it's really just a matter of trusting and building a trust muscle to consistently go back to, rely on yourself. Even when scary things are happening or there's a lot of fear, can you go back to trust and that inner well of wisdom you have? The wisdom, the inner voice, it feels like a well. It doesn't feel
Mm,
like a fire hydrant. It doesn't feel like something spewing at you or this kind of chatterbox. It feels like a well of peaceful wisdom. So, how can you consistently remember to trust that even when times are changing?
yes. I think that's the way forward.
Yeah.
And when with all the contrast in the world, it's going to be essential
Yes.
for people to do that. And it's a call, it's a call.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Helena, I just am so thrilled that you came and gave us this preview, and also though that we just got to talk more about some other things,
Yeah.
because I just find your perspectives really insightful and helpful and lighthearted but serious at the same time. So
Yeah.
just really enjoyable. Why don't you just tell everybody how they can connect with you if they want to learn more about you? And of course, you're on social media and all of that, but um, give them an insight.
Yeah, you can find me at helenawoods.com. I have a ton of free gifts, meditations to help you connect and build that trust within you. You can find that at helenawoods.com. I have courses, so if you want to learn astrology, I even have a course on building and trusting your relationship with your inner voice, your intuition. I have a Mercury retrograde master course where I give you specific tasks every day to use Mercury retrograde well. We're running that live right now. So I have lots of different opportunities, ways that people can learn from me, work with me, connect with me, readings. And then, of course, my podcast, Cosmic Compass, you can find on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you tune in your podcasts. And I post astrology content there every week, every other week.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah. And a lot of people are leading in this field too. And I'm stepping forward myself. Channel Your Divine Self starts
Yes.
in a couple weeks and we'll be live teaching people to tune in. So, whatever avenue people want to tap into that inner wisdom, whatever avenue they want to use, whatever resonates with them, that method, it's time.
Yes.
It's time to
The
answer the
time is
call.
now. It is now.
Mhm.
Yes.
Beautiful. Thanks, Helena. And it's been a joy.
Seriously, such a joy. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for tuning in. Keep trusting your truth, keep listening to your inner wisdom, and keep following what resonates. To sign up for the newsletter, leave a review, or connect, visit whatresonatespodcast.com. You'll also find everything linked in the show notes.